My older brother has a lot of stepkids. His wife, Tori, has 2 kids from her first marriage, then a son. Liam, who is 15 years old from a random hookup, and 1 more kid from a long-term relationship. My brother has a daughter as well. From what he tells me, Liam is the only one without an active dad, and the only one that lives with them full-time, as my biological niece primarily lives with her mum. I assumed Liam living with them full-time meant he would get quite a bit of attention, but my niece told me that they all seem to forget about him. She has told me that her stepmum once said that Liam is the extra and not as cute as her other kids. Apparently it was a joke. Anyways, Tori invited the whole family over for dinner. At one point they told us all to gather round, and Tori told us she's pregnant. Everyone started cheering. I'll admit I was too, but my niece drew my attention to Liam, who started crying and walked off. Niece and I followed him, and when I asked him if everything was okay, he started crying in my arms. I felt so terrible. My niece then took him out for ice cream to cheer him up while I went back to the others. They were all very preoccupied, and my brother started talking to one of our nephews, not Tori's kids. This nephew then tells us that while he did not make a team, Liam did. My brother was quite surprised because he's a huge fan of this sport and had no clue Liam was interested, as he always thought he was a quieter, nerdy kid. This nephew sort of laughed and said Liam is not a quiet, nerdy kid. The opposite, actually. He's very popular at school. After finishing his conversation with the nephew, he approached me and said, "Maybe nephew's confused. Liam's not that type of kid." I asked him what kind of kid he thinks Liam is. My brother said that he doesn't talk to Liam much, but according to Tori, he's socially awkward, sensitive, and a little needy. Tori overheard and was like, "Liam, is he bothering you? Next time he tries to talk to you, run, or else he'll never leave you alone. He really is needy." I couldn't believe what I was hearing, especially after how much Liam cried earlier. I told Tori and my brother that they should be ashamed of themselves. I then specifically told Tori that she should have kept her legs closed if she didn't want needy children. Obviously, my brother kicked me out, which I deserved, but Tori is furious and keeps sending me messages about how rude I am and how I don't know anything about her, etc. I even got yelled at by my mum. I sincerely believe they're all fricked in the head. Am I the idiot? Edit. Tori has 4 kids. The 2 eldest have the same dad, who is very involved. Liam's dad is a deadbeat, and the 4th child has a different but also very involved dad. My niece, my brother's kid, and the new baby, my brother and Tori's kid, make the total number of kids 6. I just realised how terrible the formatting is. I apologise and hope this clears it up. Edit. I am not giving my brother a free pass. I believe he's a freaking idiot, and the fact that he doesn't know shoot about his stepson is terrible. Yes! I yelled at Tori mostly because she's the one who kept calling her own son needy. She's the one who told me to run away from him if he talks to me. That is why I yelled at her specifically. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Your niece is a gem for noticing and telling you about Liam's treatment. You need to sit down with your brother and Amp's sister-in-law, maybe with your niece there, and tell them what happened at the party. Or at least talk to your brother. I can't believe he is so blind, and Amp doesn't see what happens to Liam in his own house. Can you sound more time with Liam? Poor kid, not the idiot. Comment 2. Poor Liam. He's already neglected by your brother and his mum, and now a new baby will come in and take all the attention. They don't even know he plays sports? I was very much on your side until the legs closed comment. That was an AH thing to say. Also, you said lots of stepkids, but I only read 2. Gotta go with everyone sucks here, because it's a bit of a hot mess. Comment 3. Mostly not the idiot. I think sticking up for the kid and bringing it to their attention is great, but practice respond, not react, and choose better ways to deliver the message. Telling someone to keep their legs closed is going to shut the conversation down pretty quickly, thereby not achieving the goal of your conversation. Now for the update. So it's been 6 months since the last time I saw my brother's family. I've been in touch with my niece, keeping tabs on Liam and the others. She's a good kid, strong for her age. In the meantime, I'd moved to another city and found a decent job, kept my head down and tried not to dwell on the past. It was a random Tuesday when my phone buzzed with a text from my brother. It had been radio silence from him, so it was a surprise to say the least. I was ready to ignore it, thinking it was yet another angry tirade from Tori, but something made me open the text. Need to talk, can we meet at the old cafe? Mark. I was hesitant but agreed. We met up and it was tense at first. Mark looked tired, older. He didn't even try to defend Tori this time, which was a shock in itself. Instead, he started talking about Liam. Liam had been struggling. His grades were slipping, he wasn't eating properly, and he quit the sports team. My brother was worried about him, and for the first time I saw genuine regret in his eyes. He admitted that he and Tori had messed up, that they had been so caught up in their own lives and issues that they had neglected Liam. Mark broke down as he spoke about Liam, about how he wished he could turn back time, be a better parent. I never thought I'd see the day when my hard-headed brother would admit his mistakes. I was both relieved and devastated. My brother asked for my help to try and mend things with Liam, so I went back. When I saw Liam again, he looked as if he'd aged years in the span of months. He was withdrawn, quiet. But when he saw me, he gave a small, tentative smile. We spent a lot of time together. I helped him with his schoolwork, took him out for ice cream, and we talked. Liam began to open up, one guarded word at a time. He spoke about his fears, his loneliness, and how he felt lost amidst all the new changes in his life. Things started to change after that. Mark and Tori started attending family therapy with Liam. They apologized to him, promised to do better, and they genuinely tried. They began supporting Liam, attending his school events, and made an effort to include him in all the family activities. It's not perfect, and I think it will take time for Liam to truly feel like he's part of the family, but there's progress. Things are different now. There's a sense of warmth and understanding that was missing before. Life's still messy, but it feels like we're finally heading in the right direction. As for me, I've decided to stick around for a while. I've grown closer to Liam, and he feels more like a nephew than ever before. I feel like I've a part to play in this family, and I want to help them through this journey. It's been a hard road, but I believe there's hope for us yet. In the end, family is about sticking together, even when things get complicated. And for Liam and for all of us, I think we're finally starting to understand that. Now for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. You're doing what you can to help mend a family rift, and that's commendable. The fact that Mark and Tori are open to therapy and have acknowledged their mistakes shows that they're serious about making changes and bettering their relationship with Liam. However, this is their responsibility and not yours. Going forward, make sure that they understand you're there to support them, but the heavy lifting is on them. They need to make the effort to have regular, open and honest discussions with Liam and not just rely on you to bridge the gap. Comment 2. Not the idiot, but tread carefully. You're essentially stepping into a parental role here, and while your intentions are good, you need to remember that you're not Liam's parent. It's great that you're willing to listen to him and offer support, but make sure you're not overstepping or enabling Mark and Tori to continue neglecting their responsibilities as parents. Liam needs to see that his parents are making an active effort to improve their relationship with him. As an aunt-uncle, you can provide additional support, but the primary role should be played by his parents. Comment 3. Not the idiot, but this is a delicate situation, and it's important to establish boundaries. It's clear that you care deeply for your family and want to see them heal, but remember that you can't be the only solution to their problems. It's positive that Mark and Tori are seeking therapy, but they also need to put in the work outside of those sessions. Encourage them to spend quality time with Liam, to listen to his needs and feelings, and to take actionable steps based on what they learn. Your role should be one of support, not to take on the responsibilities of their parental duties. Now, for the next story. I really dislike this woman, so I'm wondering if I should apologize. My brother got married a few years ago to Shelley. She's the type of person who will say something rude, and then when someone points it out, she tells everyone it is true, so what's the harm? My mother despised her and actually opts out of most events just to avoid her. I moved back home about a year ago, and at the time I thought people were just being rude to her, or overblowing the things she says. I was wrong. My first proper introduction to her, she told me my outfit looked bad on me and it wasn't hiding my stomach. I give a present to a birthday party and she tells me I'm cheap. I got a bubble gun for a 5-year-old. He loved it. This goes on and on. I talked to my brother and he told me she is autistic and she can't help it. I then talked to her and I told her I won't put up with her being rude. Now it's my son's 3rd birthday and I invite the family. I wouldn't have invited her, but I don't want to cause waves. She made a comment about my house decor. I told her it was rude and to knock it off. I lost it when I gave my son a piece of cake. She made the comment that I shouldn't give him any since he looks fat. I told her to apologize and she told me it was the truth. I told her that she's overweight, that if she took more care of herself she wouldn't be fat, that this was the truth, and she is rotten on the inside and her looks are just as bad. She ended up crying and leaving. My brother is pissed, and I was called some fun names. Everyone is torn if I should apologize or not. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. So I continue to be annoyed by the rude person excused because they are autistic and cannot help it. These factors have low correlation, and rudeness is something most ASD people can avoid. Exceptions for those who are unable to function in society at all. But tactless comments made by someone who with 30 seconds of conversation you can tell does not grasp the concept of rudeness, doesn't feel the same, so barely classes as rude. The truth is likely to be that she is rude because nobody has ever corrected this behavior. Parents probably did not correct it in childhood because parenting someone with autism can be hard and requires a more attentive and reasoned approach. She now has an object lesson in both what happens when she is rude and what someone being rude feels like to the injured party. Your response was directly proportional. Just because other people don't want to rock the boat does not mean you have to stand for and allow your child to accept abuse. Your comment would never have been made had your guest not already made several rude comments. The blame lies with your guest, not the idiot, and also good learning moment for all concerned. Comment 2. I might get some flack for this, but not the idiot. If she truly lives by the mantra, well, it's true, then she should learn to eat her words. Why is it okay for her to act this way to literally everyone around her, but the second it's thrown back at her, you're the bad guy? She called your son fat, stating it's the truth. You responded that she's also fat, which is probably the truth. Don't dish it if you can't take it, IMO. Time and a place and it being the truth doesn't make it okay. This really feels like a "I'm brutally honest, just deal with it" kind of cop-out to act erroneously like an unfettered jerk, which is not an excuse. I'm also autistic and struggle with social cues, but I still know when it's okay and when it's not, to give unfiltered honesty. A tilde 5-year-old's tilde child's birthday party ain't it. Giving an unprompted, brutally honest opinion on someone else's home decor is also not it. And it almost feels humiliating to find out you've been rude or offensive without meaning to. Anyone with autism I know, myself included, goes out of their way to make sure it doesn't happen again. Comment 3. Yeah, the thing about being autistic is that it is not an excuse for being rude. It's not a surprise to her when you point out she is rude. She is not confused to the how and why when you point out she is rude. She is not making attempts to correct her behaviour when you point out she is rude, which just makes her a jerk, and you not one for giving her her own medicine. Not the idiot. Who TF goes to a kiddie birthday party and calls a 3YO fat? Now for the update. So, in a plot twist nobody saw coming, Shelley has left my brother. Yep, you read that right. It turns out that my outburst was the straw that broke the camel's back. She hasn't been happy for a while, and my words, harsh as they were, ended up being a catalyst for her to reassess her life. I mean, I didn't think it was that bad, but apparently it hit a nerve. Anyway, she's now living with her parents, and my brother is between shocked, devastated, and really confused at this point. He blamed me at first, which was not surprising. But then, as he began to digest everything, he started to see that maybe Shelley's behaviour wasn't that great after all. Here's where it gets wild. They have a prenup. And not just any prenup, but a prenup that basically left my brother with next to nothing if they ever divorced. He was blindsided. I mean, who thinks they're going to get divorced after less than a year of marriage? Apparently Shelley did. My parents are furious and devastated. My father, who never liked Shelley to begin with, is simmering on a low boil, and my mother is inconsolable. They feel guilty for not being more supportive when I confronted Shelley. They're blaming themselves for the whole mess. But here's the weirdest part. I ran into Shelley at the grocery store. It was awkward to say the least. She looked different, more relaxed, happier even. She thanked me, said I helped her realise that she was settling for a life she didn't actually want. I didn't really know what to say to that. I'm still not sure how I feel about the whole thing. I mean, I'm glad she's not making everyone miserable anymore. But I feel awful for my brother. He really loved her, you know. It's just, well, it's a mess. Anyway, that's the latest instalment in the Shelley saga. I'll keep you all posted if anything else happens. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. It's always a difficult situation when you're stuck in the middle of family drama. But ultimately, you didn't cause this. Shelley made her own decision to leave, and based on what you've said, it sounds like it was her choice to sign a prenup that left her with little in case of divorce. It's unfortunate that your brother is shocked and devastated, but it doesn't sound like you directly contributed to that. It's understandable to feel conflicted, but remember that everyone involved is an adult, and they're responsible for their own actions and reactions. Comment 2. Everyone sucks here. It's easy to say that Shelley is the one at fault here for leaving your brother so suddenly, but if her happiness was being compromised, can we truly blame her? A relationship is a two-way street, and your brother probably played a part in the deterioration of their marriage as well. Your parents shouldn't be blaming themselves either. It's not their place to interfere in their adult children's relationships. While it's kind of you to feel sympathy for your brother, I think everyone needs to take a step back and reassess where they might have gone wrong, instead of pointing fingers. Comment 3. No idiots here. This is a tough situation for everyone involved, but it's important to remember that people are allowed to leave relationships that aren't making them happy. Shelley has a right to seek happiness, and it's not fair to blame her for wanting a better life. Your brother is also allowed to feel hurt and betrayed. Those are valid feelings given the circumstances. Your parents are understandably upset as well, but they couldn't have predicted or prevented this. You're not the jerk for feeling relieved that Shelley is happier now, even if it's at the expense of your brother's happiness. It's a tough situation, but it doesn't make anyone a jerk. Now for the next story. I was picking up my 2-year-old son from daycare, which is in a commercial building that also has a doctor's office. When I was strapping my son in his car seat in the parking lot, a clearly pregnant woman approached me and got quite close to where I was standing, like 2 feet from my open car door where I was bent over to buckle my son in. She asked for help with her Uber and said she doesn't speak English fluently. I spoke with the Uber driver on speaker, and he was at another branch of the doctor's office in another town, and he advised us to cancel and book another Uber. I offered to do this for her and cancelled her ride and typed the correct address into the app for her, but she kept deleting the address and then handing me the phone again. I told her I was putting the address in correctly for her, but she continued to delete the address. I felt like I couldn't do much more for her at that point and said a few more times she needs to enter the correct address into the app. There was a clear language barrier. I only speak English and am average at Spanish, and her phone had Farsi letters on it which, other than recognizing them, I have no knowledge of. I started to leave and she kept asking me to stay and help her. I told her I needed to get home and that she wasn't allowing me to help her. She got very snippy towards me as I got in my car and left. I felt bad because she was pregnant and seemed distressed about getting home, but I felt like we were at a stalemate in what I could do for her, and I was also uncomfortable with how close she approached me initially, that I was with my young son, and that she kept deleting the address when I typed it in. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. This is sus. In the US doctor's offices close at 5 p.m, unless it's an urgent care. I assume it wasn't 9 a.m. when you picked your kid up. Second, if she speaks a different language, you can set your phone up to be in a different language. I highly doubt somebody who speaks English knows the word fluently. It was a scam. She kept deleting the address on purpose. Scammers target people who are alone, especially if they have a small child. The mum's instinct will be to protect the child first, and scammers know a woman will hand over everything before she lets somebody harm her kid. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Hopefully she found someone else who was able to help her. Clearly you had a communication problem. My paranoid side says she was keeping you there for a carjacking. Or maybe she just wanted a lift to some out-of-the-way place. I like to be kind, but this situation makes me feel uncomfortable. Comment 3. Not the idiot. Pregnant or not, she was still a stranger, and I believe in trusting your instincts. You tried several times to help to no avail. Your priority is to get your own child home safely. She can call someone else. Now for the update. Fast forward 2 weeks, I'm at the same daycare picking up my son again when who do I see? That's right, the pregnant woman from before. She's visibly distressed, again, but this time she comes over to me with a big smile. Turns out she's been taking English classes and has improved dramatically. She thanks me for the help I'd attempted to give her, apologizes for the confusion, and then pulls out a photo of her family back home. Here's where things get interesting. She explains that her husband works overseas and she's here alone with only her broken English to survive. She's been struggling with technology and understood very little about how Uber works. That's why she kept deleting the address. She wasn't trying to be difficult, she just didn't understand what she was doing. But the real jaw-dropper, she tells me that the day I tried to help her, she was actually going into labour. She was trying to get to the hospital, and because of her limited language skills and unfamiliarity with Uber, she couldn't communicate this to me. The good news is, she did make it to the hospital in time, thanks to a kind stranger who saw her distress and called an ambulance. She gave birth to a healthy baby girl, who she decided to name after the stranger who helped her when I couldn't. And while I was relieved to hear that everything turned out okay, the part of her story that hit me the hardest was when she said she didn't blame me for walking away that day. She just wanted to thank me for trying to help, despite the language barrier. She ended up inviting me to meet her daughter and even teach her some English. I couldn't believe it. It was a humbling moment, and reminded me that sometimes, even when we think we've failed, our attempts to help can mean the world to someone. Now for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Your intentions were commendable, and the fact that you went out of your way to help a distressed stranger despite the language barrier is admirable. It's unfortunate that you weren't able to fully understand the situation at that moment, but that doesn't make you the jerk. Miscommunication is common, especially in situations involving different languages. Had you not stepped in, who knows how long the woman would have remained in her distressful state. Your actions may not have directly led to the resolution of her problem, but they may have triggered the sequence of events that did. Moreover, the woman's gratitude shows how much she appreciated your efforts. I believe you've learned a valuable lesson about the power of empathy, and your story is a reminder that sometimes it's the effort to help that matters the most. Comment 2. Not the idiot, but this situation highlights the importance of learning some basic sign language or having a translation app handy. It's clear you were trying to help and were doing the best you could in a difficult situation. It's not your fault that you couldn't understand her situation entirely. However, this situation could have turned out differently if there was a way to overcome the language barrier. Regardless, the fact that you tried to help even with the difficulties shows your character. The woman came back to thank you, which means your efforts were acknowledged and appreciated. This shows the ripple effect of kindness and how even small actions can have a significant impact on someone's life. Comment 3. Not the idiot. The fact that you stepped in to assist a stranger in distress, even though you were unable to fully understand what she needed due to the language barrier, shows your willingness to help others. It's easy to dismiss someone else's distress, especially when there's a language barrier, but you didn't. This situation underscores the importance of universal gestures of distress and the need for better communication tools in public spaces to help in such situations. The woman's gratitude and her request for you to help teach her daughter English is a testament to the impact you made that day. This story serves as a reminder that it's not always about the end result, but the intention and the effort that truly counts. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.